Thank you so much, Alicia, and Mayor Keller, Councilors Borrego and Pena. I'm so happy to see all of you, Hakeem, Adon, Antonio, my dear longtime friends. As a 35th generation New Mexican, I just want to say that I cherish every single one of you, and I'm happy that you're here in our state to make sure that we're moving it forward and growing it. As a Pueblo woman, that's one of our hallmarks is working to make sure that people feel welcome. We open our feast days, we open our homes up to strangers during feast day because we want people to come in and bless our homes with their presence. And I carry that with me everywhere I go, even all the way to Washington, D.C. And in fact, over Christmas, we had a party in my office and I fixed pozole and I baked bread and we invited everybody in. And it was a beautiful thing to know that our New Mexican traditions, we can take them with us anywhere we go. And that's our gift to the world, right? We were all raised the same way. All of us, we're New Mexicans. And so I first want to just say, all of you I'm happy that you're here. I cherish your friendships. You know I do, because I've helped all of you in one way or another. And I will continue to do that long into the future. So thank you all. So thank you for having me here today to talk about cultural healing as we move forward from recent events that have caused bad feelings among us and have imparted violence on one of our community members. The shooting that occurred a week ago left me horrified and hurting. I will first say that I pray each day for the victim and his full recovery. We are all New Mexicans. And now in 2020, we all have contributed to the beauty of our state through hard work and respect for one another. The discussion today is nothing new. We have been having these discussions for decades, and what I hope comes out of this conversation is acknowledgement of our past, a path to healing from those actions that seep into the present day, and unity to help move us forward. Yes, Don Juan de Oñate was a brutal man and perpetuated many hateful and horrific acts against the Pueblo Indians, and he influenced others to do likewise. Yes, the Franciscan priests Catholicized us and used my ancestors as slaves to build great places of worship when we instead needed to sustain ourselves and our communities. As New Mexicans, this history belongs to all of us. But we don't have to stay in the past. We can acknowledge this terrible history and work together to heal and move forward because there is too much work to be done. Through the years, both Hispanic and Native Americans have faced deep oppression in our state, but we haven't allowed those terrible injustices to derail our drive to move our state forward. At the end of the day, there are still New Mexicans who are being denied food stamps, health care, and a fair hearing on many issues. These are the issues that will keep all of our children from attaining success, and I want us to focus on solving these issues together. I know we are in tumultuous times. America is finally realizing that we must do right by our communities of color. The massive protests across the country in support of Black Lives Matter have inclined cities and jurisdictions to change rules and laws to reflect more humane policing practices. I'm inspired by these changes as I work in Congress to pass legislation that codifies how our country should treat its people with respect. The things that exclude many communities of color from experiencing the true promise of this country must be addressed and strong, effective action taken. I understand that our history can be sad and painful, but we are all New Mexicans and we have learned to accept each other into each other's families. We work together and converse in each other's languages. When I sit down with the Spanish land grant communities in my district, I feel as if I'm sitting with my aunties, uncles, and cousins because of our shared history and deep spiritual connection to the land. We share so many traditions that make our state unique, and out of that, we can work together for a better future together. On Pueblo feast days and every day, our tables are flushed with traditional Pueblo oven bread, which we have because the Spanish brought both wheat and hornos. Many of our family members raised cattle and sheep, which are also part of the cultural exchange that our ancestors participated in centuries ago. Squash and corn, Pueblo farm staples, are cooked into calabacitas that seemingly every Hispanic household calls their own. All of our favorite New Mexican restaurants cook the food that makes our state so unique, a combination of Spanish and Pueblo Indian. The challenges we face because of the coronavirus are because communities of color have faced disparities that other communities have not. And that's why our communities have the highest percentage of COVID-19 cases per capita. We must stick together to fight the issues that have been long-standing in this country and fight for what is right. I'll leave you with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. from his Nobel lecture, and which was highlighted in the Spike Lee film, Do the Right Thing. He says, "Violence as a way of achieving racial justice is both impractical and immoral. It is impractical because it is a descending spiral ending in destruction for all. The old law of an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. It is immoral because it seeks to humiliate the opponent rather than to win his understanding. It seeks to annihilate rather than to convert. Violence is immoral because it thrives on hatred rather than love. It destroys community and makes brotherhood impossible. It leaves society in monologue rather than dialogue. Violence ends by destroying itself. It creates bitterness in the survivors and brutality in the destroyers." And of course, Martin Luther King Jr. was a very wise man. Before I close, I just want to acknowledge that I did invite our former Secretary of Indian Affairs, Alvin Warren, to be here with us today. I know he's extremely busy, and just want to acknowledge that he is always a strong and calming and respectful voice among us. And then I also want to acknowledge my dear friend, Adon Cariaga. Adon, an artist here in our state, he makes santeros. And he does that because he feels it in his heart. And the spiritual guidance that any of us gain, regardless of where it comes from, that has to, in a way, guide us in what we're doing. Because as humans, you can see, we get far too emotional, we fly off the handle too easy, we do things that we regret later on. We're human beings, and that is something that none of us can escape. What we can do is we can rely on each other to be a sounding board. We can rely on each other to advise us, or to say, yeah, that's not such a great idea. How about if you try this? In the end, my true hope is that we all absolutely realize that we are New Mexicans. We are unlike any other state in the entire country. And we have lifted each other up for a very long time. And I want us all to continue to do that, because it's our children and our grandchildren that I want to see benefit from the fruits of these hard discussions, benefit from our hard work that we're doing to make sure that we can come together and move these issues forward. And with that.